On the phone, our panel, Christy Harvey from the Center for American Progress, Duncan Black, or Atrios from the blog Eschaton at atrios.blogspot.com, and Victoria Jones, managing editor and White House correspondent for Talk Radio News Service at talkradionews.com. So, Christy, your friend Scooter Libby.
I know, right?
What are you going to do? You're not. Does this mean that your trips to the Aspen, to the tree, you're not going to see
the trees will always gently shake for Scooter and I, I'm sure. But yeah, it was an interesting week with Scooter Libby too. What do you think? I'm not so sure that President Bush will pardon him. I actually think that Bill Kristol said it very well. For President Bush, loyalty is a one-way street. You stay loyal to him, and then he throws you under the bus, basically. So I think it'll be very interesting to see where this story does go, but I don't know. I'm really starting to think, Sam, that time is up for Scooter.
Well, I definitely think that there's some question as to whether or not Scooter Libby will be pardoned, because you got to remember that there was some disagreement. There's some talk that maybe there was a little bit of a war going on between Karl Rove and Dick Cheney, and maybe Bush didn't feel that Scooter Libby was loyal to him. But there's another element to this story, Atrios, and that is that Robert Bork and people like Alan Dershowitz sent in an amicus brief suggesting that Patrick Fitzgerald was not a legitimate appointment as a special prosecutor, or that the position shouldn't exist. What are the implications of this amicus brief?
Well, the implications, first of all, are that there are a bunch of elite lawyers who are willing to stand up for their good friend Scooter, and I guess that's their right. The second implication is they're laying the ground essentially for a legal argument for appeal. Their first hope is that by trying to make a claim that there's a legitimate argument for appeal, that'll be sufficient for Judge Walton to let Scooter out on bail awaiting the appeal. Now, I don't actually think Judge Walton will do that. But what it does do is then kick the argument up to the appeals court eventually, assuming he isn't pardoned. And it provides the D.C. Circuit Court, which is staffed with a bunch of conservative movement protectors who have a history of protecting movement conservatives.
We're talking about like Lawrence Silberman, who was involved in the Iran-Contra
he's more senior now, but Sentell, who's another one, is still on the court.
David Sentell and Janice Roger Brown, who thinks that the New Deal was basically when this country went socialist.
Right, and so people like that hear on the appeal, and they have Dershowitz and friends' handy-dandy legal argument in front of them. They can use that to make the case that their good friend Scooter must be let out because the whole Fitzgerald prosecution was flawed from the beginning.
There certainly is a sense that these guys don't seem to be as worried about it. It's really just a question of how long will Scooter have to wait until his appeal is heard, and I would not be shocked if we don't see some type of expediting of his because he's such a good family man. He's such a good family man. He should have his appeal expedited. Just quickly, Victoria, the immigration bill died on Thursday in the Senate. Basically, a poison pill put in by the Republicans, an amendment which basically made it impossible for it to move forward. Are both parties basically happy about this?
Oh, yes, I think so. I really do, and I think most of the American people blinked. It was like a tree falling in the forest, too, when nobody was around. They were all watching the game. I really think that the people in border states care about this. Most people really don't, because they want those jobs to be done by somebody. I think this thing is dead, and I think it went down the way it went down, and I think it's gone down and it's finished. It's done.
Does it say anything about George Bush as a lame duck, or is it are people reading too much?
I think it says he doesn't quack.
Yes. Well, there you go. I have a duck on my 360, and I can't find it right now. That'll have to do. All right. Christy Harvey from the Center for American Progress, Duncan Black from atrios.blogspot.com, and Victoria Jones from talkradionews.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday.